So today I wanted to talk about something that I've been seeing a lot of lately online in online divination groups where people share doing readings for each other, for example, forums and so on, Facebook groups and such. I've been noticing this with friends also in my discussions with them in their practice in reading. And of course, this is something that I've struggled with too. I think everyone struggles with this to some extent. But it's not, what I'm worried about is that there's not enough awareness about this issue. And this is using readings to justify your own delusions, to justify your own prejudices, to justify your own resentments, your own hatreds, your own ego games, all these things that we do that are destructive. And in fact, using a reading, whether that is a card reading, whether it's your natal chart, anything like that where you're doing some divination, but you're doing something sneaky. You're not going there to learn something new. You're not going to this reading to illuminate yourself and elevate yourself and expand your intelligence and access your flow of natural intuition, or to connect with the universal intelligence, the divine logos, through the reading. But instead you want to use this reading to justify something that you come to with beforehand. Whether that is your rightness in a conflict, you're having some sort of dispute with someone and you're seeking justification for your malice, or some other prejudice, or you're seeking some confirmation to validate a bad habit you have, something that is keeping you confined, something that keeps you in a small way of thinking, something that justifies your fears often. And, that will give you a get out of jail free card, that will explain why you are allowed to feel this way, when in fact, what you're doing is clearly dysfunctional, right? And what my experience has been with working with divination as a tool of transformation for myself and as a tool of transformation for other people also, hopefully, is that a good reading that is done in the power of the spirit, where the flow of that universal intelligence is strong, and it's you are really contacting that source of knowledge and power that runs the universe, right? Is that reading will always surprise you. It will always expand the horizons of what you think are possible, and it will always shed light on the limitations of your ego, on the limitations of your prejudice. It will call for forgiveness when you are angry. It will call for assertiveness when you're being timid. It will counsel you to take distance when what you want is too much proximity. This is the nature of what a good reading is, because it is the manifestation of that balancing principle in the cosmos. And that balancing principle, that healing principle, that divine logos that operates in the cosmos, is that it brings balance, right? And what you're doing in a reading is you're asking for that balance, that integration to come to you. So it is going to show you something that will bring balance, so it will put you back into harmony. A reading will never escalate a conflict, for example. A reading will never counsel you to do something with malice, because the universal intelligence doesn't work that way. And if you are finding something in a reading that encourages that, then I would argue that this is not really coming from the source that you think it is. It is probably coming from some narrow, egotistical, fearful, scared, loathsome part of yourself that you are now empowering in this way. So what I want to say today is, do not use readings to empower your delusions, right? And there is a more subtle aspect to this, of course. That is when we use readings to keep us stuck in patterns that are disempowering, patterns that keep us small, patterns. And this could be, for example, using a reading to avoid taking responsibility, or using a reading to avoid growing in your career, because the idea of asking for the promotion or going for a new job interview or starting a new business is scary for you. So you start looking for things that will validate a strategy that will feel safer, that will feel secure to you instead, right? This can be just as bad because it keeps us stuck, it keeps us confined, makes us doing the same shit that we've always done before. And a reading should never do that. A good reading will always help us break out of a pattern. It will never entrench a negative pattern. A good reading will always dismantle a negative pattern. It will always reveal a negative pattern. It will always surprise you. This is why a reading should always bring new information to light that you hadn't seen before. If you are just finding a reading substantiate your fears, your phobias, your narrow expectations of a situation, you probably have gone off the track. You've probably slipped into your ego while you were interpreting that reading, and you haven't been really accessing that universal flow of information that is available to you. It's a great, wondrous, extraordinary fountainhead of possibilities and knowledge that can be accessed through a good reading. And if we come to a reading with the answer that we want in advance, and with the intention of finding that, then we are likely to interrupt that process. We are likely to sabotage the potential for that reading to really be revelatory, for that reading to be really transformative to us as a human being. Whether you are reading for yourself, or whether you are going to a reader, a professional reader with that attitude, the outcome will be the same.